The man you see here, casually walking into a hospital with a backpack, is 52-year-old Mario Green from Detroit. What may seem like an ordinary moment captured on hospital security footage is, in reality, the beginning of a chilling and devastating act.
That hunt is on. They're looking for Detroit police, Michigan State police, and other agencies working together, working around the clock, looking for 53-year-old Mario Green. Let's take a look at security video image of him. Now, police say he's 6'4", wearing all black and a gold chain, and they say he walked into the basement of Henry Ford Hospital at 9:55 and allegedly shot and killed his ex-wife, Latricia Green. He then left in a white Dodge Charger, that was located near Trojan Avenue and Losser Avenue later this afternoon. And Fox 2 has since learned that Latricia had an active PPO out against him after filing for it, get this, twice. The first time she was denied, the second time he wasn't served yet. And sources confirmed to Fox 2 that he called the hospital around 50 times and showed up as well. And a coworker says as soon as she found out about what happened today, she fell apart.
She did everything for everybody at Henry Ford. She was a nice person. She never harmed nobody. She never did anything.
It was chaos. People didn't know what to do. They was standing around and they said lockdown. They started running through the hall. The nurses and the doctor, they started running through the...
Mario is on a calculated mission, a mission that would forever change the lives of those around him. He's there to kill his own wife. On the morning of August 22, 2025, a regular workday at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit quickly spirals into a nightmare. Latricia Green, a 40-year-old woman who had dedicated over 2 decades of her life to the hospital, enters the basement office where she worked, completely unaware that she would never walk out alive. Just moments earlier, Mario had tracked his wife to her workplace, armed with a gun, a plan, and a deep-seated rage. As the minutes ticked by, the tension mounted. What followed was a tragedy that would leave the community in shock, as Latricia's life was taken by someone who was her partner, someone she trusted, someone she loved. It was a horrifying betrayal, one that no one could have seen coming, and one that would haunt the hospital and everyone who...
I cannot believe this. Okay, I cannot believe this.
It was horrible. It was the most horrible feeling, because when you're in a room and they tell you can't leave and it's somebody shooting, you just don't know. And your life just started flashing, in front of your eyes.
To say the employees here at Henry Ford Hospital just off West Grand Boulevard were shaken up after Friday's deadly shooting would be an understatement. Was your shift already over, or are you leaving early?
I'm leaving early. I need to get out of here. No, this scared me too bad. It just traumatized me too much. No.
53-year-old Mario Green allegedly shot and killed his ex-wife in the basement of the hospital before taking off. Those that knew and worked side by side with Latricia in the laundry area of the hospital are absolutely devastated by the news. Devin Wilford worked with Latricia, who she says taught her everything she knows.
She loved God. She focused on getting money and taking care of her family. Lord Jesus Christ, she was an amazing person.
Henry Ford Hospital was on lockdown for about an hour after the shots rang out before opening back up to patients and visitors. Streets were closed as the manhunt continued for the suspect throughout the afternoon, but staff inside the building say there was a lot of fear and confusion.
They were walking with their guns, like with their hands on it, looking for this person. And we didn't know if he was still hiding, so we didn't know anything.
The disbelief still there too, knowing a life was taken far too soon in such a violent way.
She never did nothing to nobody. She was a nice, generous person.
She was magnificent. She was more than a friend. She was a mother. She was a wife. She did her job.
These employees now just hoping to heal and recover from such a terrifying day at work.
I'm just glad to be out of there.
Emotions clearly still running high for everybody. A lot of these employees that are still walking out of the hospital saying that they plan on hugging their loved ones just a little bit tighter.
Knew them. What had pushed Mario to this point? What went wrong in their marriage to lead to such a horrifying end? Before we get to that bone-chilling moment that changed everything, let me take you back to where this seemingly perfect love story began, because the most dangerous relationships are the ones that look absolutely flawless from the outside. Latricia Green was born in 1985 and joyfully celebrated her 40th birthday in March 2025, surrounded by family and friends who cherished her. From the very beginning, her life was marked by resilience and compassion, qualities that would shape the way others remembered her. To those who knew her best, Latricia was more than just a daughter, sister, or friend. She was a pillar of strength, a kind-hearted soul whose generosity touched everyone around her. This devotion to others carried over into her professional life, where she built a career defined by care and commitment. For over 2 decades, Latricia dedicated herself to Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, a place she considered her second home. But her colleagues would admire her not only for her diligence and professionalism, it was for the warmth she brought into the workplace. Day after day, she became the kind of presence that transformed routine work into a community of support. Her coworkers often described her as magnificent, recalling how she consistently checked in on others and treated everyone with the same kindness, regardless of their position. It was this consistency of character, her ability to uplift others, that made her absence so deeply felt.
But 2 men linked to last Friday's deadly shooting at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. Mario Green on your left is charged with first-degree premeditated murder. He's accused of walking into the basement of the hospital and shooting his ex-wife, Latricia Green Brown, before driving away in his white Dodge Charger. The second man you see on your screen on the right is Anthony Barnett. He's accused of helping Mario Green get away from the scene. And he's charged with accessory after the fact and lying to a police officer. The manhunt for Mario Green lasted nearly 17 hours. You saw that here on Local 4. Green was arrested early Saturday morning on Detroit's east side, and this is truly tragic. Latricia Green Brown had sought a personal protection order against Mario Green, but we've now learned that order had not been served yet.
Although Latricia never had children of her own, she poured her love into the younger members of her family. Nieces, nephews, and cousins often spoke of how she made them feel special, ensuring they were cared for and appreciated. Her nurturing spirit extended beyond bloodlines, creating bonds that felt just as strong as family. Yet behind her radiant smile and tireless work ethic, Latricia carried silent burdens. Her personal life was marked by years of abuse, leaving her with emotional scars that few could see.
We begin tonight with a woman opening up about her experience with the man accused of shooting and killing his ex-wife at the hospital where she worked.
Welcome to 7 News Detroit at 6. I'm Carolyn Clifford.
And I'm Mike Duffy. Thank you for joining us.
Mario Green is accused of killing his ex-wife, Latricia Green, at Henry Ford Hospital where she worked.
While the suspect went into hiding, we're now learning that his ex-girlfriend feared for her safety, thinking she could be his next target.
Well, tonight she is talking to 7 News Detroit reporter Rudolph Sinaida about her violent encounters with the suspect and raising awareness about domestic violence in her honor.
That ex-girlfriend is Katina McLenny. She says her and Mario Green dated back in 2001 when she was just 20 years old. She says she wasn't brave enough to speak up back then, but she is now, and she's doing it for Latricia Green.
What would you want to tell her if she was sitting here today?
I'll fight for you.
Katina McKinley has found her voice and is using it to stand up for someone who lost theirs, Latricia Green. Mario Green is accused of shooting and killing his ex-wife at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit last Friday. That's a name and face Katina hadn't heard in decades until she saw his photo on the news.
My heart just felt like it dropped into my feet because I hadn't seen him since 2001.
Katina says her and Mario met through work when she was young, and they had a brief relationship. She eventually wanted out, and that's when he allegedly began following her, stalking her, even leaving notes on her car. Then it all came to a dramatic peak.
He followed me to a friend's house one day, and because it was a man, I guess that upset him, and that's what led to him chasing me down and making me get out of my car and putting a gun to my head because as he said, if I wasn't gonna be with him, I wouldn't be with anybody.
Katina says she filed a police report that day and got a restraining order against Mario. He then never contacted her again. But Latricia wasn't so lucky. She was granted a personal protection order back in July, but it was never served.
This never should have happened to me, her, or anybody else. If a person wants to leave, they have that right to leave.
Jenny Hooper is the interim executive director over at First Step, a domestic violence and sexual assault agency in Wayne County. She says she's not surprised Mario is allegedly a repeat offender.
That is a pattern behavior. That is what we know about abuse.
Green was arraigned on Monday, along with an accomplice that was allegedly helping him hide out during that manhunt. Green pleaded not guilty, but Katina says she knows the truth of what happened to her and will do everything in her power to get justice for Latricia.
What do we do? Because this is happening too often.
In Detroit, I'm Rudolph Sinaida, 7 News Detroit.
Certainly helps when people speak up so others learn lessons from it.
Yeah, thankfully she is.
This hidden struggle stood in sharp contrast to the joy she gave others, a reminder that even the strongest hearts can carry unseen pain. Tragically, this nurturing spirit would alter Latricia's life in ways she never imagined. Latricia was in her mid-20s when she crossed paths with 53-year-old Mario Dwayne Green from Bloomfield Hills. What began as a chance meeting soon blossomed into something far more meaningful. Despite the 13-year age gap between them, the two discovered a natural connection that seemed to erase the years separating their lives. Friends and family noticed how quickly they became inseparable, drawn to each other by a mix of shared values, mutual respect, and an undeniable spark. By 2012, they took their relationship to the next level. They got married, and for Latricia, it seemed like the beginning of a new chapter. She had a husband, a home, and the promise of stability. Friends recalled how hopeful she was in those early years, believing she had finally found someone to build a future with.
Police say this is not the first time the man accused of fatally shooting his ex-wife has been in trouble with the law.
We have also learned that the woman who lost her life in today's shooting filed for a personal protection order just last month that was never served. 7 investigator Ross Jones joining us live right now here in studio with how in the world this could have happened.
Yeah, a lot of questions that need to be answered. Good evening to you both. Mario Green was convicted of aggravated stalking back in 2001 and spent 6 years in prison for arson before his 2012 release. But much more recently, his ex-wife said he posed an immediate danger to her, and she went before a judge to stop him.
The cries for help from Latricia Green could be seen in black and white. First, in a personal protection order sought on June 13th, when she said her ex-husband Mario Green was stalking her, that he continued to call my job and threatened to meet employees outside, and showed up to my job and tried to enter my office without my approval to get to me. The judge denied that PPO, but just over a month later, on July 20th, Latricia would seek another. This time, she said her ex-husband's behavior had escalated. Since I was denied, she said, he has now been able to break into my car and cut up my clothes, shoes, and steal belongings from me. And he followed me on multiple occasions and has tried to break my car window. I noticed him following me from Oak Park all the way back to the city and on Woodward and the Boulevard. He continued to try and turn his car into mine and block me off. He has continued to call my job and said he will not stop or stop coming after me. I have tried to be cordial, she said, because I feel that the system has now let me down each time that I have tried to make reports on this man. My father was murdered, and now with this situation, I am now in mental distress and scared, not knowing what to do. I have to constantly look over my shoulder to make sure this man is not following me to hurt me like he has done in the past with physical abuse. I am asking for help before this goes too far, she wrote, and things are too late. This time, the judge granted the PPO, deeming Mario Green to pose a threat to his ex-wife. But there was a problem, according to DPD Assistant Chief Charles Fitzgerald.
Unfortunately, it was not served on her ex-husband, so it almost brings us here today.
Latricia spoke of the joy of companionship, of having someone to share her life with. She was proud to be a wife, and she embraced the role with optimism. But beneath the surface, things weren't as they seemed. By 2018, the marriage had begun to collapse. Friends later described years of verbal abuse, intimidation, and control that eroded Latricia's spirit. Mario's temper and manipulative behavior created an environment of fear. What had once been a hopeful union became a source of pain. Even after the divorce was finalized, the pair continued living together in Detroit, a complicated and painful arrangement that left Latricia constantly on edge. Her friends noticed abuse signs. They saw the bruises, heard the late-night cries, and listened to her fears. One close confidant remembered Latricia calling in tears, saying she was exhausted and just wanted to be free. Yet she would fight for that freedom till the very end. Latricia's resilience kept her moving forward, but the toll was undeniable. She continued working at Henry Ford Hospital, where she was admired by colleagues for her dedication and warmth. But by now, those closest to her knew that behind the smile was a woman struggling to survive.
Update to the community, we're at Henry Ford Hospital at approximately 9:55 a.m. Via video assets, we did observe a subject, our person of interest, leaving the facility. A Mr. Mario Green, date of birth 7/22/1960. He's 65 years old. He got into a verbal altercation with what I'm being told his ex-wife in the basement area of Henry Ford Hospital. He produced a gun, handgun, and fired multiple shots, killing his ex-wife. She's a black female, approximately 40 years of age. He has fled, is no longer an active situation at the hospital, even though it is an active crime scene. He left the front door of the hospital, got into a white Dodge Charger. The year is 2011, a 2011 Dodge Charger, and the license plate is D is in David, X-ray, X is in X-ray, C is in Charles, 7067. We're actively looking for him. He is presumed to be armed and dangerous. I'm asking the public if they see him, and we'll release the picture shortly as to how he looks, exactly who he is, and I can tell you that he has an address in Bloomfield Hills. We expect to have him in custody very, very shortly, but we're asking for the community's help and that the danger situation posed here is over. We do have our police assets, my SWAT team, my other metropolitan officers here, as well as federal assets about to search the hospital and just ensure that there's no one else that was possibly injured there. But at this time, I'm only aware of one injury, and that we do have the video assets to show that he left the hospital.
Chief, what? The ex-wife presumably worked at the hospital, or?
Yes, I'm being told that she is an employee of the hospital. I don't know what her job is, but of course we're working with the leadership at Henry Ford Hospital and their security as well, their police department.
Can you spell the suspect's name, and does he have any affiliation with the hospital at all as well?
Not that I'm aware of, and his name is Mario, M-A-R-I-O, and his last name is Green, common spelling, G-R-E-E-N.
How did he get access to the basement of the hospital?
At this particular point in time, I'm unsure, but that'll be revealed at a later date.
Do you know if this suspect has any prior criminal history?
I'm not aware that he does, and that can be provided later, but at this particular point in time, I'm being told that he didn't have a history. Maybe my team knows. Did he have a history?
Don't know yet. They're still compiling it now.
Do you have a description of what the suspect was wearing as he left the hospital, as he fled?
Yeah, he's in all black. He's approximately 6'4" in height, and he had on a gold chain as well. And so we're gonna release the exact video so you can see and push it out to the public so they'll know what he has on right now.
Do you know generally where he fled, or are you concentrating the search in any particular area?
We have our assets, and so he went, what was it?
The boulevard onto Lodge, northbound on the Lodge.
So he went northbound on the Lodge Freeway, and so we know what north is, and so he lives in Bloomfield Hills.
Were there any other witnesses to what happened? I guess, were there other people in the basement when this occurred who saw this sort of altercation?
By early 2025, things spiraled further. Just weeks after celebrating her 40th birthday in March 2025, Latricia and Mario had a heated argument that ended with him forcing her out of their shared home. With nowhere else to go, she spent weeks sleeping in her car, often parked in the lot of Henry Ford Hospital, the very place where she had dedicated more than 20 years of her professional life. Her situation was heartbreaking. A woman who had given so much to others was left without shelter, relying on her car for safety. Yet even in those moments, she tried to maintain dignity, showing up to work and continuing to care for patients. Later that summer, Latricia managed to secure a small apartment, renting it under a friend's name for protection. She tried to rebuild her life again. She told her family she wanted to start fresh, but despite her efforts, she never truly felt safe. Mario knew her habits, her workplace, and her routine. But her fears were not unfounded. Court records show that Latricia had made 2 desperate attempts to secure a protection order against Mario. The first, filed in June 2025, was denied when the judge ruled she hadn't provided enough detail. But Latrice refused to give up. She filed again in July, this time including explicit accounts of harassment, stalking, and even incidents where Mario vandalized her belongings. This second petition was granted, but heartbreakingly, the order was never served. In Michigan, the responsibility for serving a restraining order can sometimes fall back on the victim, requiring fees for mileage and paperwork. For reasons that remain unclear, whether fear, hesitation, or the sheer burden of navigating the system, Mario was never formally notified of the order. So without enforcement, she remained vulnerable.
Murdered at work. A manhunt is underway in Detroit after a man walked into his ex-wife's job and opened fire, taking her life. Latricia Green Brown was shot in the basement of Henry Ford Hospital about 10 this morning.
And minutes after that shooting, police identified her ex-husband, Mario Green, as the suspect in that case. Security cameras caught him leaving the hospital just minutes after that shooting. Jay Scott Smith has been following the very latest developments in this case all day long. Jay, we now know Latricia had a valid personal protection order against Green.
Yes, indeed, she did. Good evening, everybody. And honestly, this was just a bad scene all the way around, as on this Friday night, as mentioned, one woman is dead. There are a lot of questions that need answering, and police are trying to get a dangerous man off the streets.
He produced a gun, handgun, and fired multiple shots, killing his ex-wife.
Detroit Police Chief Todd Bettison laid out what happened this morning at Henry Ford Hospital around 10:15 a.m. Bettison named this man, 53-year-old Mario Green of Bloomfield Hills, first as a person of interest, but now he's the prime suspect in the shocking killing of Latricia Green Brown. It set off a chaotic scene on West Grand Boulevard and a citywide manhunt.
We're actively looking for him. He is presumed to be armed and dangerous.
Surveillance cameras caught Green entering the hospital. From there, police say he went into the basement where Brown worked and shot her multiple times after an argument. After Brown was killed, he hopped in a white 2011 Dodge Charger and took off, headed north on the Lodge Freeway. The car was eventually found abandoned near Losser on the city's west side around 2 p.m., but Green remains on the loose. He's 6 feet tall and was last seen wearing all black and a gold chain. Mario Green also has a violent past, having served 6 years in state prison following a 2006 arson conviction. He's also served 4 years on probation for aggravated stalking, and most recently in June, he just finished a 3-year probation stint for failing to pay child support. Brown, meanwhile, had sought an order of protection against Mario Green, but he had yet to be served. Now, there have been questions about how he was able to get into the hospital. We have gotten a statement from Henry Ford Hospital saying, quote, "We have a comprehensive security plan in place that includes metal detectors at the emergency department and an on-site police force. We consistently strive to ensure our facilities are safe and our processes and procedures prioritize security. An internal investigation into this tragic incident is underway." Now, this manhunt for Mario Green continues. If you happen to see him, you are not to approach him. He's considered armed and dangerous. If you see Mario Green, make sure you contact the Detroit Police Department.
In her petition, Latricia had written chilling words. "I have to constantly look over my shoulder to make sure this man is not following me. I'm asking for help before this goes too far." Her plea was haunting, a clear warning of the danger she faced. Little did she know, less than 5 weeks later, her fears became reality. On August 22, 2025, Latricia arrived at Henry Ford Hospital for another day at work. Little did she know, this would be the day her life would be tragically cut short. Despite several protection orders and repeated warnings, her ex-husband, Mario Green, managed to gain access to the hospital. By 10 a.m., reportedly under the guise of dropping off some of Latricia's personal belongings, Mario walked into the basement where she worked. But the staff and patients were unaware of what was unfolding just steps away. Mario and Latricia had an argument, and within moments, Mario pulled out a gun and fired multiple shots. The chaos erupted so suddenly that it left everyone in shock. Despite the alarms blaring and the staff rushing to secure rooms, the violence had already been done. Mario fled the scene swiftly, leaving behind a mortally wounded Latricia. Security footage showed him leaving the hospital, dressed in black and wearing a gold chain. He jumped into his white Dodge Charger and sped off, his actions sending ripples of fear through the city. Within minutes of receiving the first 911 calls, the situation at Henry Ford Hospital quickly escalated into a full-scale emergency. The once calm hospital turned into a scene of panic, with staff scrambling to secure patients and visitors from potential danger. Meanwhile, outside, a manhunt for Mario Green began. Detroit police worked tirelessly, using surveillance footage and witness statements to gather leads. But what many were unaware of was Mario's violent past. In 2006, he was convicted of arson conviction and also served 4 years prior charges for aggravated stalking, which raised alarms for law enforcement.
Hours after that deadly shooting at Henry Ford Hospital, the suspect's Dodge Charger was found abandoned in a northwest Detroit neighborhood near Losser, just south of 8 Mile.
7 News Detroit reporter Brett Cast continuing our team coverage. And Brett, you've been talking with neighbors. What else are they telling you?
Well, Simon, we're trying to figure out exactly when this car showed up here at Trojan and Losser. It was just parked across the street. It's obviously been towed and it's gone now, but it was on the east side of Losser on Trojan, on the south side of the road there. That's where the car was found. I talked to a neighbor who had some surveillance video. It only showed just a corner of the front part of the car that actually got into the frame of the video. It was between 11 and 11:20. You see the video and the car is no longer there. There's no video of the car pulling up, but then you scroll forward to about 11:48 and suddenly you do see the car in the frame there. So we know it showed up around that time, but again, we're still trying to figure out exactly how the car was found. We don't know if it was police that found the car or a neighbor that had reported it, but many neighbors were shocked when that police presence obviously showed up in search of Mario, just to see the entire presence and knowing that his car made it here about 20 minutes away from the hospital.
The police presence was so overwhelming until, it was just like, my goodness, what's going on? So I'm thinking it was an active shooter in this area, but apparently they were able to track him from the hospital. This was as far as he got.
Despite being warned, banned, and even legally restrained by a protection order, Mario was free to walk into a hospital and take Latricia's life. The failure of the system to protect her raised immediate questions. How could a man with such a history gain access to the hospital? Why hadn't the protection order been served to him? As the manhunt for Mario Green continued, investigators pieced together his movements. Security cameras provided a clear view of Mario entering the hospital and the gunfire that followed. It didn't take long for police to confirm his identity, and within hours, they released his description to the public, alerting the community that he was armed and dangerous. A break in the case came when they traced the vehicle Mario had driven. His car, a white 2011 Dodge Charger, was eventually found abandoned in a Detroit neighborhood later that day, fueling more speculation. Had he been helped, or was he hiding nearby? As detectives scoured Detroit for any signs of Mario, they also examined his phone records, interviewing his associates. But the critical question remained: where was Mario? The search intensified, with police and SWAT teams canvassing neighborhoods, setting up checkpoints, and flying helicopters overhead. Meanwhile, Mario's associate, 54-year-old Anthony Barnett, became a key figure in the investigation. Police learned that Anthony had allegedly helped Mario evade capture in the hours following the shooting. When detectives had secured Mario's phone records and examined his recent calls, they learned that Anthony may have advised Mario on how to dispose of his cell phone to avoid being tracked. Anthony Barnett was arrested and charged with accessory after the fact and lying to investigators. The hours dragged on, with detectives piecing together the timeline of events, analyzing witness statements, and following every lead. It wasn't until nearly 17 hours later that police caught their biggest break. In the early hours of August 23, 2025, after nearly 17 hours on the run, law enforcement finally received a significant tip that would lead to Mario's capture. Officers, acting on intelligence gathered from his digital footprint, focused their attention on Detroit's east side, near East Warren Avenue and Lame Street. In the dead of night, a tactical and swift operation was launched. Officers surrounded a residence, cutting off any potential escape routes. Neighbors awoke to the commanding orders of law enforcement, telling Mario, who was hiding in one of the residences, to surrender. The tension in the air was palpable as a community held its breath, praying for an end to the manhunt that had kept them on edge for so long. Finally, the moment arrived. Mario Green was located and arrested without incident. The police had successfully captured a man who had evaded justice for almost a full day. The relief, however, was tempered by the deep sadness that Latricia would never be able to share in this moment of justice. Mario was immediately taken into custody, and authorities quickly processed him, bringing him before the court, where he faced multiple serious charges. Among the charges were first-degree premeditated murder, aggravated stalking, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, and multiple felony firearm offenses. The judge stressed that the allegations against Mario were not only grave, but also underscored the premeditation involved and the dangerous setting in which the crime occurred, a hospital filled with patients, staff, and visitors. Given the seriousness of the charges and the risk posed, the court denied bond, ordering Mario to remain in custody while awaiting trial. Meanwhile, attention turned to his alleged accomplice, Anthony Barnett, who faced his own day in court. Prosecutors argued that Anthony played a role in the aftermath of the killing, claiming he advised Mario on how to evade law enforcement and later misled investigators about his whereabouts. But his defense team would counter these claims. They insisted that his involvement was minimal and that he should not be held to the same level of responsibility. Even so, the charges, accessory after the fact and lying to a police officer, were significant. The court ultimately set Anthony's bond at $100,000 with the condition of GPS monitoring. This decision sparked outrage among Latricia's grieving relatives, who believed Anthony was complicit and insisted that he bore just as much guilt as Mario. For them, the bond ruling felt like a betrayal, a sign that the justice system was not fully recognizing the depth of their loss or the danger posed by those connected to the crime.
Latricia's family, although relieved that the killer was now behind bars, could not shake the agony of losing their loved ones so violently. For them, the arrest did little to ease the pain of the senseless loss. For those who had known her, the loss was unfathomable. Latricia had been more than just a colleague. She was a cherished member of the Henry Ford Hospital family. Her co-workers recalled how she always brought warmth and positivity, even on the most stressful of days. Devin Wilford, a longtime co-worker, shared that Latricia had taught her everything she knew, highlighting her immense value not just as an employee, but as a person. Latricia's family, too, was devastated. Her cousin wrote online about the kind of person she had been, saying that she worked, she smiled, she loved her family, and she asked for help, but nobody stopped Mario. The anguish in her cousin's words reflected a community's frustration with a system that had failed Latricia in her time of need. The delays in serving the protection order, the lack of enforcement, and Mario's repeated violation of legal boundaries left her family wondering if her death could have been prevented. Henry Ford Hospital, once considered a safe haven for its workers and patients, now faced criticism. The hospital had a stringent security plan in place, including metal detectors and on-site police, but somehow Mario slipped past those measures. The attack occurred in the hospital's basement, a place where patients, doctors, and nurses should have been able to feel safe. In the wake of the tragedy, hospital officials promised a thorough internal investigation and pledged to review and strengthen their security protocols. But for many, the promises felt like too little too late. The hospital, once a place of healing, had become the site of an unimaginable tragedy. Latricia Green's funeral was a solemn and heartbreaking event. Her loved ones, who had gathered to say their final goodbyes, struggled to come to terms with the fact that a woman who had dedicated 2 decades of her life to caring for others was now gone. Latricia's co-workers, many of whom had worked alongside her in the laundry area of the hospital, wept openly as they remembered her kindness, her dedication, and the way she always checked in on others, making sure everyone felt supported. Family members spoke of Latricia's strength and resilience, her ability to remain positive despite the struggles she had faced. Her funeral was filled with grief, but also with anger. Anger at the failure of the legal system, which had failed to protect her despite her repeated pleas for help. Anger at the fact that a protection order, which she had fought for, was never enforced. And anger at the reality that a woman who had dedicated her life to helping others had lost her life in the very place she had worked to save others. Latricia's death serves as a reminder of everything that was lost, not just a life, but the safety and security she had longed for. The family, still grieving, spoke not only of their sorrow, but also their desire for justice for Latricia, a woman who had been a beacon of light to so many. Latricia Green's death raises several critical questions that must be answered to prevent tragedies like this in the future. How was Mario Green able to enter a hospital, a place of safety, despite being banned from the premises? Why wasn't Latricia's protection order enforced, and how can we ensure that similar orders are served swiftly and effectively in the future? Latricia's story also serves as a poignant reminder of the dangers of domestic violence. While her tragic death occurred at the hands of someone who had been a part of her life, it could have been prevented with better systems in place to protect victims. The failures of the legal system and the lack of proper enforcement of protective orders are systemic issues that need to be addressed. Latricia Green's death should be a wake-up call for all of us to take domestic violence seriously, to act swiftly, and to ensure that victims have the resources and protection they need. Please share this story to help raise awareness about the dangers of domestic violence and the need for systemic change. Let's keep Latricia's memory alive by ensuring that her death leads to action, accountability, and change. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.